Well, hello. I'm alone for this podcast. I'm in Milwaukee. It is a balmy 41 degrees, so I decided to record it outside. And I've got a few news articles. It is Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. So there has been a survey, I believe, um, reported on 9 to 5 Mac. A survey shows that Apple Intelligence doesn't seem to do anything of any value to most iPhone users so far, which is agrees with what I've heard. Um, and like I say, it's incredible how much money people have spent on AI to no effect so far, no actual product that anybody wants. But everybody vigorously believes that it's going to be worth a ton of money pretty soon. There is a new way to make LLMs perform better called speculative decoding. And I don't understand it. I read an article, and there's even a way to do it hands on, which I think I might have to do to understand it. What they say is you have this model with many billions of parameters. And what you do is you run a big model and a small version of the model at the same time. The small version tries to predict the next word, and that is much less calculation. And you accept it if the large model agrees. The part I don't understand is it seems like you're having to make the large model do the calculation also to compare with the small model. So how did you improve things? But anyway, the end result is the words come through much, much faster, many more tokens per second. Uh, and so I'd just like to understand a little more about how that works. It's clearly an imitation of speculative execution. But speculative execution in processors works by using the unused part of the processor to execute instructions you haven't gotten to yet to get a head start. And that's putting a wasted idle resource to work. This doesn't seem to have that advantage. Anyway, it is a new trick. It apparently works. And I may write up a hands-on project so I can do it and maybe understand why it works better. And Apple Intelligence has a feature where it will summarize articles and write new headlines for them. I'm not sure why you need this. And the BBC has officially complained because their headlines are so terrible. And the example here was this is on pivottoai.com, which looks like David Gerard's website. And what he said is they had a BBC headline about the CEO murderer Luigi Mangione being arrested. Apple Intelligence shortened the story to Luigi Mangione shoots himself, which does seem to sort of miss the point. So AI is continuing to be covered with glory. I was unaware of this. Many states have now approved the use of digital license plates. You can get an electronic license plate. Why anybody would ever do this baffles me. Yeah, apparently you can change the slogan on the plate to say something different, but obviously you can hack the plate to show a different license plate number, and someone has done that. This would seem like the obvious thing to do. The whole point of a license plate is to label you with a number you cannot change. So why you would put this in hardware that can change is very unclear to me, and it's obviously a bad idea. Uh, and another one about traffic. An artist in New York City has made a project where he finds licensed surveillance cameras, traffic cams, and they didn't explain technically how it works, but what I think he does is he finds traffic cams that have a website that project a live feed. So now then you can go pose in front of it and capture the live feed and therefore take a selfie with the traffic cam. And he has a map where you can click and find the location of the traffic cam, and you can use some kind of app to tell it to take a selfie of me when I'm standing in front of it. So this means there's people standing in the middle of the road facing the traffic cam, holding up their cell phone, taking a selfie. So the New York City authorities have asked him to stop doing this and sent him a letter saying this is just encouraging people to do dangerous things and you should stop it. So he took that letter and posted it on a stick and held it up and took selfies of the letter and selfies of him and showing his total contempt for the authorities' opinion about this. So that's a entertaining bit of theater. It only seems to cover a few cities in the East, though, not around San Francisco. There's an article claiming that Google is no longer the best search engine, which I would certainly agree with. I find Bing more useful than Google now. This guy is recommending Perplexity, which I used for a while, but I found it less helpful than I thought it would be. It may have improved. All right, and I heard about kratom. Kratom is a drug I never heard of. It looks like turmeric, a yellow powder, and it is apparently legal in several states and illegal in other states. But the thing about it is it is reminds me of methadone. It is something people take to break their addiction to opiates. Although some of them then get addicted to kratom, which apparently is less harmful than the opiates. So, it may be a useful thing, but it has its own risks anyway. And of course, in its natural form, it's relatively harmless, but there are purified versions that are more dangerous. So there was this argument going over for the last week or two, maybe a month, about whether if you upgrade your Windows 10 machine to Windows 11 on old hardware, what have you done? And Microsoft for years said, we absolutely don't support this. You must buy a new computer to use Windows 11. And you also must stop using Windows 10, even though your computer is fine, for no apparent reason. And about a week ago, Microsoft put out an article saying there's going to be this warning message if you do upgrade from Windows 10 to Windows 11 on old hardware. And then a bunch of the press interpreted this and published that Microsoft has now approved upgrading your old hardware to Windows 11. But now Microsoft has come out and said, we did not mean to say we approve of it. We simply mean to warn you that if you do that, your machine may malfunction and the updates may not work, and it's a bad idea. So they have reverted to their original position, which they claim they never changed, that 600 million people need to throw away their computers because they're not going to support Windows 10 anymore, and the old hardware will not run Windows 11. So this is ridiculous. And, if you're determined to be a Windows user, I think you're kind of being forced to buy a new computer if you can afford one, or to subscribe to that service I mentioned a while ago from Britain that will give you unofficial updates, or just take a bit of a risk and run antivirus on it. It's hard to say what the best option is, other than to buy a Mac, which I highly recommend. I mean, at some point, I think almost everybody gets tired of being jerked around the way Microsoft jerks you around. And if you get Apple, it is a much, much better experience. It costs more money, but they're a much better company to deal with than Microsoft. All right, and the last one, the FTC, my alma mater, is warning about a scam I hadn't heard of. People offer you a job where you do something like go on some website and do something trivial on there. Let me see an example of what they'd ask you to do. Simple task, and you'll get paid for it. They're repetitive task. They're called a task scam. And so they'll get you a message, unsolicited messages on WhatsApp or something, and then you'll do something like videos or rate products through a special app, and you'll be accumulating payment for that in some kind of online payment record, which you can't really get the cash out of right away. And then after a while, you will get an offer for a promotion to earn more money and get the ability to withdraw from your account, but you have to pay a fee for the promotion. And after you pay that fee, then they vanish and keep your money. So it's a little bit of a twist, a thing to be aware of, the latest version of these endless online scams. Well, anyway, that's it for this one. And I'll have another one of these on Friday.